It is Friday, April 24th, 2020. I'm Pastor Thor Ramsey with Center Church. This is Gospel for Five, where we take 5 minutes out of our day and focus on the gospel and the one who saved our souls. Today, we're looking at Psalm 25, another psalm of confidence, which begins, "Oh my God, in you I trust." We have confidence in God. I trust you're going to work it out. I trust you to provide the solution. I trust you are there. I trust you are working in me for your will and your good pleasure. Let me not be put to shame. Let not my enemies exult over me. Indeed, none who wait for you shall be put to shame. They shall be ashamed who are wantonly treacherous. Ultimately, if you put your trust in God, you will not be disappointed, is what he's saying here. Here's the reality of life when it comes to following this God, when it comes to obeying this God, when it comes to submitting to and trusting this God. When you trust the Lord God of the revealed scriptures of the Bible, you have a better life. John Frame, the theologian, says, his best interests are your best interests. The Christian life is just a battle of trusting him through the tough moments. Even though people will sometimes treat us unfairly, God will always treat us fairly and lovingly and compassionately, for he is love. When we begin to understand his character, we want to know his ways because his best interests are our best interests. And verse 4 says, "Make me to know your ways, O Lord. Teach me your paths. Lead me in your truth and teach me, for you are the God of my salvation. For you I wait all the day long." Notice that the reason David wants to know God and walk in his ways is because God has saved him. So even in the Psalms, we see that behavior flows from the grace of God and salvation. For I wait all the day long. I wait for you all the day long. The Christian life is not a fast-paced life. John Frame, the theologian I mentioned, says, even in the biblical period in which many miracles took place, these events were not evenly distributed through time. Many centuries went by as between Noah and Abraham and Moses and Malachi and Jesus without any miracles being recorded. Abraham lived many years without seeing any miracle. Through most of his life, he was made to wait, anticipating the fulfillment of the promise to come. That he was, for the most part, patient during this waiting period is one of the exemplary features of his life. And Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before God appeared to him in the burning bush and inaugurated a new era of miracles. Again, the point is the Christian life is not a fast-paced life. It is worth the wait, but in those down times, we often need to remind ourselves of the God we worship, as David does here. Remember your mercy, O Lord, and your steadfast love, for they have been from of old. Remind God of the things he wants you to be reminded of. That's really what David is doing here. Remember not the sins of my youth or my transgressions. According to your steadfast love, remember me, for the sake of your goodness, O Lord. So some of us have this idea that God thinks the worst of us. Is that in line with his nature and character? He knows the worst about us, but he doesn't think the worst about us because he also knows what he has planned for us. He not only knows our final outcome, but he's orchestrating the development of the best version of you, one that is like Christ. But even more than that, he has placed the righteousness of Christ upon you. God sees you as he sees Christ. How can he think the worst of you? What has God said to you today, and what are you going to do about it?